Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Who wins? Well, it doesn't take a genius to know that this upcoming matchup between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will be one of the most anticipated fights of this year. So in this video, I want to break down for you who I think is going to win by scoring this matchup as if it was a UFC Championship 5-round fight with the exact same 10-point scoring system. Except each round will be based on a different fighting metric. So round 1 will be physicality, round 2 will be durability, round 3 will be striking, round 4 will be wrestling, and round 5 will be Jiu Jitsu. And after I score each round based on the individual skills and history of the fighter, at the end of the video I'll total the points and tell you who I think will win the fight and who I'll be betting on. Off the bat, the first thing you'll notice is that both Conor and Michael are around the same height. While Conor McGregor is 5'9", Michael Chandler is only an inch behind at 5'8". But the real elephant in the room is the size that Conor has been putting on ever since his last fight against Dustin Poirier, where he had a terrible ankle break. And if it isn't clear to you why he left the USADA pool during his time off starting all the way back in 2021 and hasn't been tested since, or how he managed to heal up so soon after such a serious injury like Anderson Silva did, or how he was able to put on so much muscle mass during such an injury, it's because he was juicing. Matter of fact, he even inferred and justified this himself when a fan implied that this was how he healed up from the injury so quickly, and Conor responded basically saying that if he didn't do what he had to do, it would have taken forever and maybe have never healed as it has for Chris Weidman. But nonetheless, even though I do think that Conor McGregor's newfound muscle mass will be a factor in his upcoming fight with Michael Chandler, I do think that once he's back in USADA's testing pool, he will most likely have cycled off whatever he was running and will certainly be at least a bit smaller than the physique you've probably seen pictures of over the last couple months. But to be fair, Michael Chandler himself also has a terrific physique for the division and has shown exceptional physicality in almost all of his fights, and so I would have to score this round of physicality as a draw. Honestly, when it comes to cardio, both Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler are around the same level. Both tend to start off their fight strong and tend to slightly fade in the later rounds, but not by a significant amount. And although Michael Chandler in reality has pretty great cardio, the main reason why he does usually fade is because of the huge movements he does during his fights, especially the suplex, which is a very energy-taxing technique. But when it comes to their chins, this is where it starts to get interesting. Throughout his career, Michael Chandler has been dropped by punches and even finished on several occasions. Granted, lately he was only against the best of the best here in the UFC, and it should be noted that he was able to have a very close fight against arguably the hardest hitter in the lightweight division, Justin Gaethje, and was able to survive all 3 rounds. But on the other hand, we have Conor McGregor. And up until 2021, he had never been finished by strikes, in MMA at least, but he has been compromised on multiple occasions. And one thing I think is extremely important to point out is just how weak his resume is in the lightweight division. Back in 2021, he fought his first UFC lightweight fight, and it was for the title against Eddie Alvarez, which honestly was the best case scenario matchup for Conor at the time. And then he proceeded to leave the sport to fight Floyd in boxing, and then never again won a fight in the lightweight division, or in the UFC in general, besides his almost worthless win against the aged journeyman Donald Cerrone, who retired shortly after. But my point in saying this is that Conor McGregor's chin has not been tested against the heavy hitters of the lightweight division. And the few times that actually has been was in his last 2 fights against Dustin Poirier, and he got finished. Not to mention his ankle break that occurred during his last fight may be something that hinders his durability in this matchup, and maybe something that Michael Chandler can take advantage of, but I'll talk more about that later in this video. Nonetheless, because of the significant ankle injury that Conor McGregor is healing from, which many UFC fighters have never been the same after, especially Anderson Silva, and since Conor's chin has never really held up in the lightweight division, Chandler wins this round of durability. This round clearly belongs to Conor. Although Michael Chandler is certainly a great striker with knockout power, he simply isn't on the same level as Conor. While Chandler was outclassed on the feet against Dustin Poirier, Conor had great success against Dustin on the feet in both of their most recent fights, before he had his legs kicked out and eventually finished. However, while Conor is certainly the better boxer, it's extremely important to note just how good Chandler's low kicks are. Throughout his fights, you'll see Chandler blasting the leg kick to hurt his opponent's mobility, and you'd have to be a fool to see Conor's last 2 fights and not realize that he should be implementing the same leg kicks to potentially reduce Conor's mobility and hurt him on the feet. Not to mention there will always be a possibility of re-injury of Conor's ankle if he does sustain significant damage in the area. Nonetheless, Conor wins this round of striking by a slight margin because of his boxing prowess. Now this is where things start to get ugly for Conor. Michael Chandler has serious wrestling skills, and anyone that's familiar with Conor's career knows just how bad he struggles against even decent wrestlers. Even in Chandler's last fight with Dustin Poirier, Chandler was able to perform well in the wrestling department and even took Dustin's back at one point and put him in trouble. Matter of fact, in all 3 of Chandler's last fights, he was able to secure the takedown even against Justin Gaethje, who's considered a decent wrestler himself. And it should be noted how many times Conor McGregor has lost or almost lost due to the wrestling ability of his opponents, even at featherweight. Overall, it's clear that Michael Chandler has the edge in the wrestling department and wins this round. Although neither Chandler nor McGregor are exceptional in the Jiu Jitsu department, I would say overall Chandler has had more success in his career on the ground, considering the 7 submissions he's had in his career in comparison to Conor's only 1 submission. And beyond that, as I said, Chandler has been able to secure strong positions on the ground with top level opponents, including Dustin Poirier, who's a BJJ black belt. And so Michael Chandler wins this round of Jiu Jitsu, but by a small margin. So with that, the total score comes out to 49-46 Michael Chandler. Overall, even though I actually think this is a very close and competitive matchup, there are a couple factors inside and outside the cage that I think tip this fight in Chandler's favor. You have to keep in mind that all of the added mass that Conor will supposedly have in this fight may have an impact on Conor's speed and cardio, just like how it did when he moved up to welterweight to fight Nate Diaz, who is no successful welterweight himself by any means. And you have to wonder how much motivation Conor has, considering where he is in his career and how much money he's already made in the sport. It doesn't take a genius to know that Conor isn't the hungry and motivated guy that he was before his fight with Floyd Mayweather back in 2017, where he made a ton of money. And of course, the biggest factor here is the serious ankle break he had in his last fight, and I think that injury is something that Michael Chandler may be able to take advantage of in this fight. And honestly, the biggest path to victory here for Chandler would be to blast leg kicks in the area of the injury to hurt Conor's mobility and mix up takedowns along with his striking on the feet. And the biggest risk that I see to taking Chandler to win would be the fact that he's a showman, because he often doesn't take the best path to victory, because instead of being smart and using his wrestling, he often tries to get the flashy finish for the sake of the show. And at the end of the day, we just don't know what Chandler himself is planning to do for this fight. But we do know that he does have a clear path to victory right in front of him. And since this fight is currently at dead even odds, and some books even have Chandler as an underdog, if you think Chandler is even 55% likely to win this fight, you would have an edge just by picking him. And that's why in this dead even matchup, I personally favor Michael Chandler to win this fight. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button for daily MMA content, and comment down below who you think will win this fight and why. And be sure to watch these 2 videos right here for my breakdown for 2 massive MMA fights coming soon. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.